Alright, hello Boundless. This is Sulfurblade. I'm back. And this is going to be a different type of video. I'm not really here to record the history of our world prior to launch. Actually here just more to talk about stuff in the game. Where the game is going, things I like about where the game's going, and things I don't like about where the game is going. For the most part, I quite enjoy Boundless. Very passionate about this game. Copper's better. So this is one of the things. Yeah, this is one of those things. So Copper has gotten better, but it's not there. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to describe it, but it is less pink. I think I can deal with it. Maybe I could get used to it, but yeah, Copper, this is just like I'm old, right? Old people, we don't like change. And maybe that's what it all boils down to, is I'm not good with change. But there's some change that I'm not so much sure that I'm a fan of. And that's really what this video is about. So, you might as well tune right out now if this isn't your type of thing. But I want to know your opinions on things like the color of Copper. It's gotten better, but is it good enough? And that's just one minor thing. So there's other minor things that are annoying me right now. One of those minor annoying things, thankfully I'm not having to, well, it's not annoying me right now because of the weather, currently on Berlin, but the sun glare. Have you ever remembered getting up in the morning to have to go to work, driving into the naval base, and that sun is glaring down the I-5 right in your face, and there's just no way to get around it because that's the way the road faces, and you're stuck with this sun glare in your face for the next 30 minutes of slow-moving traffic? Okay, well, maybe not everyone's had to deal with that in their life, but I have, and I don't necessarily want to deal with it in a video game. Let's see if I can find a world. Are all of the worlds currently... overcast? Which would be weird. I mean, I would think all the worlds would have different weather, right? Alright, here we go. We have got it. Look at that. Do we really need that in a video game? I don't need that in my video game. It doesn't enhance my video game. Sure, it might feel more realistic, but I can be perfectly immersed without that. How do other people feel about the sun glare? Is that something that we really need in a game? Actually, I'm wondering what if they fixed the glare on the gem torches. Let's go find somewhere dark to find out. I can figure out where the heck I am. So I am at Dyer's Larva Falls, but I've never actually gone outside of the shop, so I'm not sure how to get in. Well, we'll check that in a bit. I want to point out some other things here too. Since we're in Ranting, and we've got some higher level mobs here, like Mighty Cuddle Trunk there, who seems to have some big blue armor and some small green armor. That's all cool and everything. So this is my hunting character. My hunting character is spec'd out with plenty of armor. Because, you know, I typically tank. Not every character is going to be spec'd out like a tank. Actually, there's a meteor, so this might more help the conversation that I'm trying to have here. The mobs themselves, they're not a lot of a threat. Have a shield and pie going. If I had a shield and pie going, these wild stuffs wouldn't even hurt me. The only way that these wild stuffs would hurt me is if when they run into me, they would actually push me into a block that doesn't move. And when that happens, I take crazy amounts of damage. And those are 9 times out of 10 how you die at a meteor, is when you get pushed into an immovable block that gives crazy amounts of damage, and then you die. It's not because of the damage that the mobs actually did to you. The mobs actually don't do much damage to you themselves. However, you get tossed into lava and now you're dead. That's the environment. The environment did the damage to you, not the mobs. So this is my main point about meteors, is that meteors are not hard for a character that's skilled to do them. Yeah, they're going to be freaking really, really, really hard for anyone who is not properly skilled to be able to do them. But for anyone with the skills to handle them, they're not hard. They're fairly easy. The difficulty is not difficult. And with that being said, why should I go through all of the time needed to kill all of those mobs for the pathetic amount of actual reward that it gets you? That meteor would have gotten me maybe like 5 or 6 ort stones, maybe a piece of titanium, a piece of gold, and yeah, that's it. And the feeling of accomplishment that I did a meteor solo, which once you accomplish that once and get that accomplishment once, you don't need any more accomplishment again. And I'm certainly not going to waste all of that time for a piece of titanium or a piece of gold, or even five of the whatchamacallits, of the ore. I could just go to an abandoned meteor, a meteor that's already dropped, and the mobs have gone away, and I can click that open to get the 5 ore, and not have to go through the BS of killing all of those mobs. But it is true, you know, you'll have elemental mobs there, and the elemental mobs will give you the elemental shards, and that's at least something of value. And yes, the mobs do drop, you know, their stuff, mob stuff that you need for crafting. But you can go kill any mobs. You don't have to go to a meteor to get that stuff. So for me, the meteors in the current release that they are, I've got very mixed feelings about them. I was hoping for more difficult meteors. The difficulty has improved. You know, they've added the whole you have to stay alive, and if everyone dies, then you failed a meteor. But yeah, I don't foresee a lot of meteor failing unless, well, the group is just not spec'd or has a lot of knowledge with doing meteors. I mean, it's possible that a group of newer players could get together, try to do a meteor. They're not exactly spec'd out properly for it, and they could fail the meteor. You know, that's definitely possible. But I'm saying, you know, if you have anyone with any knowledge, you know, Varese, myself, June Dragon, Simoid, Doomaroo, all, you know, normal players that normally hunt, the odds of us all dying and failing the meteor are, well, I think there's a better chance of one of us winning the lottery. So with that being said, I don't feel like there's a lot of meteor difficulty for experienced players. And then, with the lack of reward, why should we do the meteors? Yeah, we're going to need to fuel these portals, that's for sure, but it'd be just as easy to run around and gather meteors that have already come and gone to get the ort fuel for that. A lot simpler. I'm just, you know, these are my opinions. These are the ways I'm looking at this right now. This doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right or wrong. It's just the way I feel about the game at this point, from my point of view. Now, I was trying to find a dark cave. Well, now that I know where I am, why don't I go back through here? And that's closed up. Okay, here we are. Seems like portals are taking a little longer to open. I see waiting for world data more often than I used to. Okay, home cube where... oh, there it is. Weird. This character is not at all spec'd for mining, but he doesn't need to be. We're not here to actually mine. Wow. Look at that super powerful sand. 6, 7, 8, 9. Probably would have been easier just to find a cave. It's going to take me about 3 minutes to dig to a dark enough location, or I could just put some blocks behind me and make it dark. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? Let's do the brick, because it seemed like the brick was easier to break. Alright, here I am. Yeah, actually the gem torch doesn't seem as glary as it was, so they've fixed that. Awesome. I don't have to complain about that one. Woohoo! So L opens this exchange. I don't understand why we need an L key, a K key, a J key, an O key. Do you notice that all of these screens look the same? So like we have beacons, settlements, worlds, locations. Why couldn't it just be one and you just flip through them? Why can't they all just be on one key? Why do we need 8 different keys to get to the same menu type location? And then why do we have to take some of these menu locations that used to be bound to certain keys and change them? It only makes things more difficult. Like, I press tab, I have exchange, which is L. I have knowledge, which isn't anything. I have places, which is whatever it is. So this is... So yeah, tab does it all. There's character, which is O. And on tab, there's character. So tab is what I've always wanted. Just one place to go do all of these things. I guess from now on I'll be using tab. But, and maybe that's a better thing. So maybe, there again, you know, it's me not being happy with change. But... why put it on L, K, and O? Why bind it to another location? We already have tab. If that's what you want to do, and tab is wonderful, tab is beautiful, we don't need another key to put the exchange onto. That's just more keys that we need to then remember. Keep it simple, stupid. Actually, I did miss one big thing I wanted to talk about, and that is these guys. Our weapons. Wait, how did my portal get reversed? Oh, because duh. Yeah. I'm having a lot of dumb moments right now. Our weapons. So, ruby bow. Historically, that wild stock over there, I would have had no problems hitting it from right here. Hey, I hit it. It only took 4 shots. I just feel like the bows in general, all around, They don't have enough range. The default range of bows are all the same. So there's no difference really between the bows, but there is. Since I've been forging them, it seems that you know, the diamond bow prefers to get damage buffs. The sapphire bow prefers to get critical enhancing boons. The topaz likes to get faster shooting projectiles, lighter projectiles, type stuff. The ranged boon, which you can obviously target with a paste, a gum or whatever. So I could make myself a whole bunch of sniper rifles if I felt so inclined to do. And I'm definitely going to be doing that because for me, I definitely need to have farther ranged bows than what I have. The problem is that how do I know what bow that is? I look at my hand, I go to switch weapons, and I've got a red bow here, which I might have 2 red bows and 2 white bows. I might have a blue bow, a red bow, and a white bow. And historically, the red bow meant that spitter over there, yeah, it was dead. I pressed the button and it would be, you know, gone. It wouldn't be alive because the ruby sling bow was a sniper rifle. Red meant dead at range. White meant dead at short range. It was a characteristic that I could physically see when I chose my weapon. Now, I don't know what weapon's what. This is a side effect of the Forge. I like the Forge. I think the Forge is a cool concept. I like forging things. However, I don't like going out and using my forged things anywhere near as much as I used to like using the old bows, because I knew exactly what the old bows did. Now with the new bows, I either have to, you know, have this bow and this bow only so that there's no confusion, and maybe I forge all my red bows to have really long range so that I can remember, hey, red means long range and white means short range, which you could do, and that might be a good idea. In fact, I think that might be a concept I'm going to use for Sparta in the future when I'm forging stuff, but the gem bows themselves, the base gem bows, they should have their own character that we're forging onto. Red should have remained a long-ranged bow. It just hit softer. And diamond should have remained the short-range bow. It just hit like a Mack truck. And we then forged on top of that. That's my suggestion, and it would help alleviate some of the what the hell bow is this that I have in my hand, and is it the bow I think it is, or is it the other red bow that I think it is, or is it the other white bow that I think it is? And of course, you know, maybe that's not a valid argument, because you could say, well, just carry 2 bows, stupid, and make sure you know which one they are. But maybe, you know, you could be like a Varese who has more bows than he knows what to do with, and he wants to carry them all at the same time. That's his choice, and he's making things harder on himself by doing so, but that's the way he likes to play. And there seems like there could be some sort of balance, some way to find a middle ground between how do we know visually what we're looking at is what we think it is, to having to actually stop, go into our inventory, click on a stack, click on a bow, and be like, okay, this is a ruby balanced sling bow that hasn't even had any forging done to it. Okay, so I know what this bow is going to do. That's what I'm saying. So that is an issue that the Forge has created. And of course, whenever you put new stuff into a game, you're going to have issues that fall out because of it. Like, for instance, we put in the exchange, and new players coming to the game for the first time couldn't figure out how to build. They'd get over here, they'd try to place their campfire, and they couldn't place a campfire because they didn't have any plots. And they didn't have any plots because they didn't start with any plots. They needed to spend their qubits in the exchange to get themselves some plots. But they didn't know to do that because there was no tutorial designed around that because, well, developers are human. They can't, you know, they're going to miss some things, and that was something they missed. Nobody expects everyone to put anything in 100% perfectly from the get-go. You just you put something in and then you fix things. That's part of the development process. So now I'm sure the devs are aware that they need to, you know, get that message out there to the newer players that they actually have to spend their qubits in order to get some plots so they can actually place a campfire down. But yeah, it seems like a simple thing that got overlooked, but that's exactly what happened. It was a simple thing that got overlooked. Well, things happen because of things, and that's, I guess that's what I'm here to talk about. Things happening because of things. I think the lighting changes look a lot better. You know, they put in those lighting changes, and we all were up in the air about the lighting changes. And right now, I'm noticing that that things are not as bright and white as they used to be. And that's good. I like that. I'm still not too sure that I'm 100% on the copper right now. I'm also not so sure about the whole conversation that's going on about pay to win. The pay to win conversation is interesting. One would say that it was almost inevitable, because any time you put in any type of item shop, human beings are going to figure out a way to turn that into a conversation and to turn that into a pay-to-win discussion. I don't feel that the current exchange is pay-to-win. Not even remotely. As a new player, starting my very first character, I will have nothing. I won't have a qubit. I will have nothing. I will be a brand new player. I go through and I do some mining, and I get the stuff needed, and I start building some machines, and I get up to about a level 10 or 11 or 12, somewhere in there. I'll have around 600 qubits. I will have played maybe 2 or 3 hours of the game. I'm just assuming that's how long the progression will take. I don't know for sure, but you know, that's a reasonable assumption of time. Then I can decide, you know, I need an alternate character because, well, I'm gonna need a crafter. I'm also gonna need a character that does stuff that's not crafting. Well, I know this because I have experienced the game. That new player, when he's getting up to around level 10, is he gonna get an alt? Is he going to get a secondary skill set? No. I think a brand new player that has no knowledge about the game, that hasn't seen Chavita's videos, hasn't read some guides, is just going into this experience with basically a blindfold on, knowing nothing about the game. He's going to get to level 10 and he's going to turn into a crafting character, because that's what the feats and the game itself pushes you to do. But at the same time, some of those feats are gathering feats, and some of those feats have you doing other things. So that first character is gonna end up a mess, because as soon as you reach level 10, your character really needs to start taking on definition if it's going to be a character that's even worth a salt. And when you don't know what definition your character needs to start shaping into, because you have no experience in the game, you're going to turn into a jack of all trades, master of none, capable of doing pretty much nothing. And at the point when you need to start being able to make X, Y, and Z, and going to higher tier planets, and all of this other stuff, you're going to run into a lot of issues. Now, a player who is dedicated about the game, who enjoys the game, he's going to push through that. He's going to see his mistakes and his errors. He's going to reset his skills. He will make the effort to continue to play because he enjoys the game. The player who's not enjoying the game, he's not going to make that effort because, well, why? Now, and that's the question. Is everyone going to enjoy the game? Do we need to make this game catered to everybody, or do we need to cater the game to the people that it really should be catered to, the ones that will really enjoy it anyway? So there's some people that just aren't going to like the game, and they're going to post their new player experiences or whatever experiences, and they're going to call this the worst game that's ever existed. And it didn't matter what we did, unless, you know, we made a completely different game that was filled with dungeon running and non-stop first-person shooting with, you know, whatever that more appeals to that person and what they like to do. They weren't going to like this game because this game is a specific genre. It is a specific type of taste. It is something that some people are going to like and some are not going to like. So when we're having these conversations about what do we do about X, Y, and Z, we need to make sure that the conversations about X, Y, and Z are relative to people who are really going to care about X, Y, and Z anyway. It doesn't do any good to try to cater to the theme park generation first-person shooter who's not going to give this, and that's not saying, it's not saying that all first-person, all people that enjoy first-person shooters are going to automatically hate Boundless. I'm not saying that at all. I like a few first-person shooters. Everyone has their own unique tastes. I'm just saying that everyone has unique tastes, and many of those people just, this is not a game that's within their tastes from the get-go. And we don't need to attempt to cater to them. Does that make any sense? Anyway, I'm getting a little off track here, I think. Not even sure what I was trying to get to. What was my point? Oh, yeah, getting back to the whole pay-to-win discussion. For real? Boundless is pay-to-win? 33,000 cubits from one character at level 150? That could buy me... What is it? How much does it cost an alt? It's 600 cubits for an alt, right? And 10 alts would be 6,000 cubits. So I could buy 10 alts and still have 27,000 cubits left over. Now, what if I got all of those alts 3 skill sets? That's another 30 times 600, so that would be 18,000. And we have 27,000 still left over, so 27 minus 18 is what? 9,000. So we still have 9,000 cubits left over off of one level 150 character who has gotten 10 character slots, and all of those characters have gotten 3 skill sets. And he still has enough cubits left to get 300 plots for that character. Now, the other 9 character slots could level up to level 150. Each of them can get another 33,000 more cubits times 9. That's like 150,000 cubits. Meaning that person could literally plot an entire planet, pretty much, and have the biggest city ever seen in Boundless without spending a dime in the game. Ever. But the game is somehow, the item shop is somehow pay to win. I don't get the conversation. Now, I was one of the first people to jump aboard the I was skeptical this is looking pay to win wagon. Before Javita pointed out the fact that every single skill set is going to require its own skill point. That it's not level 50, I can just swap out my skill sets with the same skill points. I need to actually invest brand new skill points into those skill sets. And that was where I had my issue on. But I was wrong about how it was being implemented, and I have since recanted my take on this being pay to win. Right now, I feel it's very not pay to win. That is my side of this discussion. However, the problem with it is that we can even have this discussion, and that's because there's an item shop at all. I'm old school, I'm an old person. I would prefer a subscription. A subscription is the easiest way to avoid these conversations. Just charge a flat subscription. Why is Boundless so resistant? Why are people so resistant to pay a subscription fee? It doesn't even have to be a big fee. I mean, I don't think Boundless is going to make a lot off of its item shop, to be blatantly honest. They could probably make just as much by charging $2.99 a month to play Boundless as a subscription fee. $3 per player would probably make them as much as they would make off of the item shop. I would gladly spend $10 a month myself, but that's me. And again, I'm talking from my point of view. Subscriptions make everything an even playing field. Everything within the game is gotten within the game. There is no item shops. There is no the ability to buy plots with real life money. None of this conversation ever takes place. Subscriptions to me make sense. But subscriptions don't make sense to most people because most people, and I'm sorry if I'm going to make a generalization here, but most people are cheapskates. Most gamers are kids in their mother's basement who are not working, don't have an income, and they're going to throw their arms up if they have to spend any of their money that they're getting for unemployment on anything other than ramen and or paying their rent check so that they could continue to do nothing but play video games. And so the lack of expendable money for gamers who are trying to support their habit of not doing anything at all in society other than gaming. And yes, that's a generalization. You know, there's obviously going to be people watching who actually go to work and actually pay bills, actually have families, support families, pay their insurance, have a mortgage, all of that stuff. But in general, there's going to be plenty of individuals who are on the other side of the spectrum who are causing this conversation from the get-go. They're the ones that want the free-to-play games, because they want to play for free. And yeah, they will then have the conversation that it's not fair that Joe gets to ride around on a mount that goes 120 kilometers an hour when I have to walk at 30. This just isn't right. But, sir, you're playing the video game for free, and Joe spent $100 on that mount. Yeah, but it creates an uneven playing field within the game. Well, which way do you want it, sir? Do you want to play it for free, or do you want to deal with an uneven playing field? Which, you know, they want an even playing field, but they don't want to pay for the game because they don't have the money to play for the game. So this is the strange dichotomy that they find themselves in when they're making these arguments and posts on the internet. The land of strange dichotomy, where every post has some sort of unknown reason behind it that most people don't understand why. Why is he so rejecting of a subscription, or why is he so rejecting of this or that? Because everybody is in a different situation. Some people work, some people don't. I'm not unemployed. I'm retired U.S. Navy, so I have all the time in the world to play video games right now. But that's because I'm at this stage in my life that's where I am. I can enjoy being able to enjoy my video games because I'm old, and I did my time, and I have my income in order to support my habit. I'm lucky in that regard. Anyway, I'm getting off topic again. This is just a dilemma. It's a gaming dilemma. Developers, they want to appeal to the largest audience possible, but they also need to make money. I wish developers would just go back to doing subscriptions, but somewhere along the way, the thought process got put into the gaming market that subscriptions are not feasible. This is part of the things I like about the upcoming MMORPG called Ashes of Creation. Even though I'm worried it's just going to be another theme park MMO, because most of the developers behind it are former EverQuest developers. It is going back to old school MMORPG roots, because the guy funding it is basically an old school gamer, but he's an old school gamer from the theme park crowd, not from the sandbox crowd. I'm an old school gamer from the sandbox crowd. But I absolutely agree with him about subscriptions, and Ashes of Creation is going to have a subscription model. And I think that's great. I applaud them for doing so. Maybe they can start a trend to get MMOs to go back to subscriptions like they should be, and we can get away from the Korean-inspired free-to-play item shop MMOs that have plagued our genre for so long. Yeah, that might work in Korea, but I just don't think the Eastern marketing scheme works here in the US. So this has been a very long-winded video about stuff and things and topics relevant to the conversation of Boundless, as I've been walking around the Boundless universe in Sparta here, just for, I guess, a background of things to look at. But mainly, this is just to have a conversation. And it's easier to have the conversation in this format, I feel, because you can hear my voice inflection. You can get the sense of when I'm angry and when I'm just kind of casually talking about this, or how I might even be saying it with a bit of sarcasm, because there's actually a voice, or with voice inflection. It's not so coming off as I'm being really mean or blunt or defensive or whatever that might be that you'll see when you're reading something in a forum type setting. And I thought that was an important way to try to translate this message. And I would love to hear what some of the rest of you think about some of these topics that I've gone over today. I'm going to post this in a forum topic that's similar to this video, and we could have this conversation there. Could also post some stuff, I guess, in the YouTube discussion area under the video, but I think it would be better off in the Boundless forum discussion. That way all the developers can read it, and maybe we can get some last minute fixes in to some of the more annoying details that have changed, like the damn glare of the sun. Grrr. And yeah, I'm serious, I don't like the glare of the sun. Really, really don't. Help me get rid of the glare of the sun. Anyway, this is Sulf. If you enjoyed this video, or if you don't enjoy this video, you think I'm a fucking fruit bag that has crazy opinions on stuff, then, leave that message in the forum that you think I'm totally off my rocker. Because ultimately, that's important part of the message as well. If I'm in the minority, well, the devs shouldn't be catering to me. You should be trying to cater to the majority. I hope that's not the case. I would like to be in the majority because I like this game. Anyway, so that's the video, and I hope it conveyed the messages of things I wanted to convey.